Hi, I'm Valerie. I love travel and I love food. But more than anything, I love to travel for food. And if you're watching this video, I hope that means you do too. We're heading to one of my absolute favorite places in the world, Japan. Over the next 3 days, we'll be exploring the bustling city of Tokyo. Let's go! On our first day in Tokyo, we were incredibly jet lagged, so we woke up around 4:30 in the morning, which was honestly a blessing in disguise since we got to do some sightseeing before the city wakes up. Our first stop was Sensoji Temple in Asakusa. It's Tokyo's oldest and most famous temple. There's something so calming about walking through the temple grounds early in the morning with just the sound of rain in our footsteps. One thing I've noticed already is that Tokyo wakes up slowly. Most shops, cafes, and restaurants don't open until around 7 or 8 a.m., but if you're anything like us, you'll head to Tsukiji Market to beat the crowd. We went to Tsukiji Itadori Beken, which is a super popular sushi spot. We got there before 7 a.m. and were the second party to be seated. This is the place to go if you're looking for sushi first thing in the morning. Hands down, sushi as breakfast is kind of the best breakfast ever. And look at those cuts of fresh fish. We ordered the Hanayaka Chef's Choice and 3-color kaisendon. The Chef's Choice came with fatty tuna, uni, scallop, tamago, and more. The 3-colored kaisendon came with 3 types of tuna, ikura, and uni with a side of miso soup. The fish was so delicious. I loved every bite I had.
That one's very
Of course, being the clumsy person I am, I dropped my sushi piece. I still can't hold chopsticks properly even though I'm Asian. Also, I do have a tiny mouth, so sometimes I struggle to fit the whole sushi piece in my mouth, which is a good problem because these sushi pieces are massive. By the time we left the restaurant, there was a line forming and it wasn't even 8 a.m. yet. And even though we were really full and satisfied from breakfast, we couldn't resist stopping for these gorgeous plump mochis with a fresh strawberry center. I got the custard flavored mochi and it's so pillowy soft and literally melts in your mouth. I still dream about those custard mochis. After a delicious start to the morning, we headed back to Asakusa around 10, and the place was packed now. We were here for something I was really excited to try, a traditional kimono tea ceremony experience. Not only do we get to dress up in kimonos, but we also get to learn the art of Japanese tea making and make our own matcha. The tea ceremony, sado, is such a peaceful and beautiful ritual. It's not only about drinking tea, but also about taking a moment to be fully present. After the tea ceremony, they actually let us wear our kimonos out and explore the area. Walking around in traditional attire felt like stepping back in time, although my feet were dying in those wooden sandals. We were famished after all that walking around, so for lunch we stumbled upon a soba restaurant in one of the shopping alleys near the temple. We figured we couldn't go wrong with anything and couldn't stand to wait for 1 to 2 hours at the most popular spots. I ordered the Azuma soba, which is a special summer dish consisting of cold soba and a variety of vegetable tempura and fresh greens. They gave you a side of ponzu sauce to pour over it. I've never had anything like it. It was so refreshing and hit the spot since I was so hungry. One of the places I was the most excited about is Suzukian, an ice cream shop that specializes in different strengths of matcha. They have 7 distinct levels of matcha flavor, ranging from mild, which is level 1, to the world's richest matcha ice cream, which is level 7. We decided to get a double scoop with level 4 and level 6. I am a huge fan of matcha, so the level 4 and 6 were great strengths. I personally think I would have liked level 5 the most, as I felt that level 4 could have had a bit more matcha and level 6 was a tad bit too strong. But since we got both level 4 and 6, mixing them basically made a level 5 in my eyes. We usually share our dessert so we can try more things, but this was one of those moments where I wish I got my own. As you can tell, I'm eagerly waiting for it to be my turn to take a bite again. This matcha ice cream place is truly one of those experiences that can open your eyes, or rather your taste buds, to the distinct flavors of matcha. How it's earthy and smooth and umami all at the same time. Honestly, matcha in Japan just hits different. We did some more walking around, checked out the Tokyo National Museum, then did some more walking around until we worked up an appetite for dinner. Honestly, the things we do in between eating is just filler to a foodie like me, so I can digest, wait, walk around, and get ready for my next meal. We went to Kira Sushi, and the location in Asakusa is massive. I've heard great things about the Kira in Japan, so I was really excited to try it. Each plate is only 150 yen, which is basically $1. The sushi we got seemed a bit questionable, as the first pieces we got, like the salmon, didn't look the freshest, and the scallop had a questionable yellow tinge to it. We weren't particularly enjoying the sushi itself, but the experience was really fun. What saved it was the rolls you get to order on the iPad, and they'll make it fresh and deliver it on a separate conveyor belt straight to your table. Overall, we don't think we'd come back, but at least we only spent around $12 to $13 total, which is a great deal. We went back to our hotel with full bellies and an excitement for the food to come tomorrow. Good morning, it's day 2 in Tokyo. I got up super early again because of jet lag, but that just means getting to eat again first thing in the morning. I got a 7-Eleven curry bread, which was piping hot and a perfect start to this gloomy day. The Starbucks right by the Kaminarimon gate opens at 7 o'clock, so I went to try the seasonal item that I think only exists in Japan, a white peach frappuccino. I know, going to Starbucks may be a tad bit basic. I used to vehemently be against going to American chains when I go traveling, but there's just something exciting about trying it in a different country, especially when they have offerings here that we don't have in the States. For lunch, we went to Asaka Gyukatsu, which is insanely popular and for good reason. The restaurant opens at 11 a.m. and people started to line up an hour before. We lined up around 10:30 and were the fourth party in line. There were probably 30 people lined up behind us by the time the restaurant opened. We waited until about 11:15 to be seated, and since they had taken our order while we were in line, our food was ready minutes after we sat down. Gyukatsu is a deep-fried breaded beef cutlet dish that's similar to tonkatsu but uses beef rather than pork. What's fun is that the beef is served rare, so you can cook it to your preferred doneness on the small personal stone grill. The beef was so tender and flavorful with that crispy outer coating that gives such a satisfying crunch. The set came with rice mixed with barley, several dipping sauces, pickled veggies, cabbage, and potato salad. It was an incredibly satisfying meal that was worth the 45-minute wait.
I think.
We love visiting Ichiran every time we're in Tokyo, not just because of the consistently quality ramen, but also because of those solo booths. Dining in the individual booths with the sounds of other people around you slurping their ramen just adds to the cozy vibe. The tonkatsu broth is luxuriously rich and creamy, and the pork practically melts in your mouth. It's impossible to not devour every bite. The solo booth setting makes it feel like it's just you and your bowl of ramen and nothing else in the world matters. I didn't want it to end. Alas, all good things must end, and I'll be waiting to return to reunite with this bowl of ramen. We went to Yayo, which we didn't realize until later is a chain teishoku restaurant that actually also has a few locations in the US. There were a bunch of options on the menu, and we ordered a jampong set that came with chicken karaage and a bowl of rice. This restaurant lets you get unlimited bowls of rice and has this cool machine that spits out a perfect portion of rice. The soup literally did taste like jampong that we've gotten in Korea before with a seafoody wok flavor. It was a lot of food for just 980 yen, and we split it between the two of us. These next two spots are two of my favorite spots ever. This is a specialty matcha shop from Uji, and we went to a location in Ginza. It's on the 4th floor of this fancy mall, and once you walk in, they serve you complimentary tea. There's so many options on the menu, but one thing to note is that each person is required to order at least one thing. We met up with a friend, and he ordered the premium matcha parfait, and we ordered the matcha soft serve and matcha float. The matcha desserts weren't too sweet and had such a strong matcha flavor. Next, we went to Ginza Kagari in Roppongi Hills. The main location is in Ginza, but apparently the location in Roppongi Hills has a shorter wait. We ended up waiting around 30 minutes before being seated. They specialize in chicken peitan ramen. I didn't think it was possible to make broth so luxuriously rich with chicken. The chicken breast was so tender, and everything was cooked to perfection. This ramen was the definition of comfort in a bowl. So that's all for our 3-day food tour in Tokyo. It's been such a wonderful, wonderful ride. We'll be heading to Tokyo Disney Sea to check out all the good food there and also check out the new Fantasy Springs. If you stayed this far, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.